Welcome to our weekly JKA Kata seminar series. Tonight's kata is Bassai show. Bassai means to penetrate the fortress, and sho means small or lesser. The sho versions of the otherwise dai, like Bassai dai, versions of the kata are typically ones that are derived from the first kata and came later. Typically they have a bit fewer number of movements in them, and the techniques tend to be more short-ranged and more specialized, a little less basic. And Bassai Sho certainly fits that bill. For example, many of the specialized techniques in Bassai Sho have to do with defense against the bow. Bassai Sho is generally attributed to Itosu, who was one of Sensei Funakoshi's main instructors, and he either invented the kata based on Bassai dai or assimilated a version of Bassai dai and passed it on to Sensei Funakoshi, then to us. Okay, so we'll do the kata to count together once, and then I'll get into the analysis. 最初よ1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、1、2、3、4、5、気合い。1、2、3、4、5、7。Okay. First thing that I haven't mentioned with some of the other katas is, in the old days, we'd stand this way and say, ready, yoi. Now, the feet always come left, right, in this position. Of course, if we're doing yoi from feet together, we just go direct, as we do for Bassai Sho. But it wasn't always that way. Okay, first move. First, owase uke to the rear, and juji, owase uke to the front, jora. This one, juji means crossed. First one, you're blocking with the palm of the right hand. Second one, blocking with the back of the left hand. And this one, left arm, is even with jinshu, the target that your opponent's attacking to here. This movement's interesting because it's undergoing an evolution. In the old days, when it was first practiced, we would look behind and block behind, then come to here. Okay? Now the way I was taught this kata is to block here. Okay? But if you look at the oldest video that I sent you from the 50s, he's blocking here. So what that says to me is that people were doing the kata differently back in the day, and when it came time to standardize, they just had to pick one, this way or this way. Obviously, if you're blocking up higher, you're blocking with the wrist, okay? But if you block here, the current version, blocking with the back of your hand, augmented with the other hand. Okay, so then it changed. So now they don't look back anymore, and they don't quite come back all the way either before they come to here. Okay? And that's mostly because if you don't turn your body all the way around, you can't put your arms completely behind you. This move then has been variously described. Even though the text says you're blocking a kick or the bow from the rear, instructors have said that it doesn't necessarily mean that. That what it means is an opponent's coming obliquely. I got a 45-degree angle from the rear into the side. Okay, and you're blocking him first, then this one. Well, that makes sense because, for one thing, you can't block it behind because you can't see what's going on back there. And this blocking off to this way is just about at the outside of our peripheral vision. Most people's peripheral vision, a little bit more than to the side, a little bit can go back behind them. So that makes sense. However, in my mind, it's, since the next move is here, back in this direction. What happened to this guy that was coming from an angle? In my mind, it's like, it only makes sense because I think this move is very awkward. It's clumsy. It's difficult to do. So I think they don't like it. So I think that's why it's kind of evolving away from that blocking in the back. That's my idea. The other thing that's changed is the position of the front foot in Kosadachi. In the very oldest days, because they looked way back here, they came sideways with the front foot. Then this foot wouldn't have to move for the next movement, the supporting foot. In the best karate time, the foot diagram shows the foot at about a 45-degree angle, the front foot when you land here. Now, the text shows the foot just slightly inward. And some of the competitors do the Kosadachi straight forward, but that might be just a little kind of sloppiness. They didn't necessarily learn it that way. So why does the foot not straight forward like the other kata? If you think about other kata where we go into Kosadachi, a lot of times the power is forward. Okay? Like empty. Like hand forward. Okay, but this one we're blocking in the power, we're opening up our body. So our hip, our body won't open too good if our hip is not open a little bit. And if our hip, to open our hip, we have to have our foot turned in a little bit. So that's the position of that foot. The last point that makes me think this is a movement that is like a vestigial organ that through the generations is just shrinking and is going to go away eventually, is that the competitors, they just go like this. They barely make any notion of some block to the rear. So this sure looks like you're not blocking to the rear anymore. It could, in my mind, maybe it could easily become that someday. Okay, from here, we turn, we make bow uke, then pull to horizontal. First, like any of the katas that specifically jite, specifically, where the application is specifically the bow, make sure that you practice with a stick so that you get your hands in the right position. First down the center line, then get this angle right, and finally that the stick lies naturally in your hands without doing some weird thing with your wrists. Some people are going like this or something. Okay, make sure the stick lies naturally in your hands. Okay? Next, this movement. This one you're pulling the stick to horizontal at almost eye level. The important thing about this is it's elevated. The strong position is here in a jion or something. So you can practice this yourself. If you bring the stick here, play with this back elbow. It should be a little pulled down. So you can play with raising the elbow, trying to pull down and feeling in your shoulder and a little bit back elbow pulled down. Okay? You're trying to get closer to this position so you can have more tension on your armpit. So if you go back and forth yourself, you should be able to feel, oh yeah, I can't squeeze from here, but here I can squeeze. Okay. The meaning of this movement, opponent's coming palm, you grab it before the stick, splits your skull, good idea. Okay, then come to here. From here, if the opponent's hitting with a stick, what's going to happen is they're going to go like this. Okay? If they don't let go of the stick, they're going to be in an awkward position with their back shoulder up. If their back shoulder's up, they're not very stable in this direction. So once you get to this position, if they don't have good hold on the stick, you can strike straight in. Even if they do have a hold on the stick, you can circle the stick around so that he falls over. So we go here. Next, Haito Sukuyuke and the Gate Upright. Haito Sukuyuke, sweeping with the knees bent, then straight. The knees bent, then straight. Some people make this a little slower, then go fast. Most just go fast. 1, 2. The important thing is make sure both are on the same plane. Must be here. Not here. Out where you can naturally block. Okay, that correct plane. Correct for your armpit pop. Bunkai for this move, it could mean that the opponent is kicking and kicking again, but most instructors say the opponent is kicking, and then of course after a charging kick, they're moving in toward you, and you hit the lower ribs with this. Kicking, hit the lower ribs with this down block, which becomes a strike. So we're here, we come to here, we come to here. One more time, same movement as before. Okay, blocking the bow. Then, come on. Your knees are bent, your left hand is normal at your hip, your right hand is ready to make a haito, thumb inside. Okay, then kiage, and haito muashi uchi, and then tate shuto uke. Okay, important is control, keep your weight down so you can control this movement slowly. Okay. Because we're moving from here to here, unlike Bassai where this movement kind of goes in, this one, because our body's going sideways, goes to the left side. So you're slicing inside the opponent's arm, but your hand ends up maybe at his armpit. But it does come to here, not center, to the side. Next, front punch, 2 times. Next, Uchuke, Joran, and Gate Upright. Open your hands first. Open your hands first. The important thing is is check the mirror. Make sure that you're back all the way around, so this is behind your head. Now up here somewhere, make sure that your elbow, same height as your shoulder, and your forearm is vertical. Okay, and the mirror is your best friend, trying to memorize these positions. Always, I find it easier to make good focus if I think more of pulling, than of going in around with the backhand. Of course, originally nobody opened their, well, I don't know, maybe some people did open their hands, but we didn't. We weren't taught to open our hands on these movements. Okay. And then they standardized so that almost all the kata, I think all the kata, open the hands before they go to these movements. Okay, where are we? We are here. Okay, now, and Bassai Dai used to be like this too. In the old days, they actually did an adjustment step, and in that old video I sent, he steps completely into this foot to step into knife hand block. But now, like Bassai Dai, this move goes direct. Okay? Which makes sense because you're in back stance, your weight should be back toward the back foot, so you almost don't have an adjustment step to make to move forward. So the next series is exactly like Bassai Dai for a while. Knife hand block, knife hand block. 1, 2, quick timing there. Tsukami uke, grabbing block. Knee comes up. Keikomi, cool to chest. Then kakiwaki uke, wedge block. That's where it changes from Bassai Dai. Just a note on knife hand block, make sure, like I always say, that you are moving quickly through these movements and not doing some kind of 1, 2 feeling. Okay? Your feet have to just go right into the movement. This one, I'll just talk about, I talked about the iterations of Bunkai for Bassai Dai. I'll just talk about my favorite one. Block the punch, grab the wrist, come under the elbow with your forearm, grab a piece of his gi, lock his elbow up like this, strike, kick to the here or the outside of the knee. Okay. And kill. Kakiwaki uke. Then Uruzuki, both hands. Shift. Yoriyashi. Important thing about this movement is don't do something like this. Put some at the end so you really put some power to this punch. Okay, meaning is, opponent's trying to grab here, you come inside, then 2 fists come up under either side of his jaw. Up, pops his head up in the air. Next is I'll face this way. Ashibarai. Jodan Soto Uke. And the Marote Suki. Sweep. Block to face. And the double punch to stomach or ribs. Important thing about these movements is that the sweep and the arm coming around have to be synchronized. And you come down to your hip and immediately go to here. You have to stay low, level, to do this movement the way you're supposed to, which is all in one motion. This is in breath, out breath. Okay, some people kind of hunker down here a little, but most do it in a continuous motion. Although this says Soto Uke, outside block, in the text, it's really executed as Soto Nagashi Uke, meaning that you're just parrying, you're just sweeping it, because they're not focused. You're just sweeping a punch to the side, going inside, either punching with two hands or blocking a punch and punching with the other hand inside the space you created by the block. Pretty much, well, in the old days, this was Fumikomi. They came up and okay, in the old video he was doing Fumikomi. By the time they got to best karate, looks like a foot sweep. Okay. Then, next move from here, bottom fist strike and lunge punch kiai. Okay. Unlike some Kata, this bottom fist strike is not, you get where you see me, this bottom fist strike is not done as you're moving, even though some of the competitors kind of bleed these together. It's supposed to be done from Kiburachi, then make a lunge punch. Okay, and that's what the book says. So, practicing it, emphasize that it's two separate techniques, not a 1-2, but 1-2. This kind of feeling. The kiai in best karate days in the book was not at that point, lunge punch, was at the end of the next three of these kiai. Okay. So that the kiai point has changed recently, at least since the 70s. Okay, so we're here. So we do 3 of these, all the same. Okay. Next, kamae and tsukami uke, both hands. Kamae, tsukami uke, both hands. Now both these movements are done without any stop. WKF, of course, like to do this kind of thing, but we don't allow unnecessary, over-dramatic movements that have no meaning. So this is done all in one breath, pull, all in one breath, pull. Now I know a lot of people have asked about how to learn the course of this technique, so we're going to break it up and put in the steps for those who aren't familiar with it, and then later you can try to make them into one movement. The first move is the more difficult of the two. This one reaches to here. Don't reach too far. Keep your elbow bent about this much. Your foot is going outward, so you can face this way. Okay. Then this left hand comes up on the outside of the right arm, and as you come down, you pull to Neko Ashidachi, you pull your foot in. In the old days, well, no, I'm sorry. One of the bunkai that was touted by some in the old days was that this might block the wrist, then catch the wrist, and go like that and push on the elbow. But even the old video, they do it pretty much the same way that Hombu Dojo does it now. And so pretty much universally, this is preparation. This is preparation. Now punches come in, both hands are pushing down on the elbow and the wrist. simultaneously as you hook your heel behind the opponent's front heel, pulling, make a foot sweep. Next move, same. This is preparation. Breathe in, pull back, and come down. Down on the arm. Let's go over the sequence again. Preparation, put your left foot out. Right hand in, so you're still breathing in. Pull and both hands move together. Preparation. Going outside of the forearm. Come until your hands are elbow wrist length, then pull them both down together. So once you have the sequence, then the important thing is there should be no stop. From here, in, out. Attacking arm straight, you're pushing into here. They come down on the arm, same rate, boom. Okay, so you're just pushing it down. And two ways you can interpret it is, one is that you're kind of slapping it down, wham! And the other one is that you're going down and grabbing onto the arm. And of course, if you grab the arm, you can, from cat stance, very easy to kick with the front leg. Nekowashi dachi, cat stance. Check your back line. Don't do this. Check your... the whole purpose of this stance is protective. You are trying to, your hands are occupied, you're trying to protect your bottom part, so you can't, some people, their cat stances, they're wide open. You gotta squeeze your knees together. Okay? And the Okinawan katas use a lot of cat stance and Sanchin stance, styles like Shorin Ryu, and Funakoshi or Nakayama or somebody, Gigo, one of them, took these kata and made almost all the cat stances into back stances with a few notable exceptions. And in this case, a couple cat stances got left there. That ends our seminar series for this week. And then next week, I am thinking of going to Unsu.